Welcome back to Access Anime. I'm Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of Ixion Saga Dimension Transfer Episode 7. Now, if you remember from last episode, we were actually introduced to the faction that's behind Dukakis. So it's the faction that actually Dukakis answers to, the Olga Religious Sorority. Now, they're actually setting up an assassination attempt upon Icarlet and her group with a guy by the name of Gorge. Now, after you see Gorge, he doesn't really threaten you too much, but he is your typical assassin or mercenary. Now, apparently he's being released from prison, and he takes out two of the guards, or at least we see him strangling two of the guards. Now, back to Icarlet. They're finally at an inn. Now, we find out a little interesting information about Icarlet. It's now her hyperactive period. Again, I thought something totally different. I thought that was another way to say, okay, so she's got her period. No, trust me, it's not. Every single time she has a little hair pull up. Now, if that makes sense, it's called a cowlick. At least that's what Cone interprets it as. Every single time there's a cowlick that goes up on Icarlet's head, she's in her hyperactive period, so stay the hell away. She's super hungry, like Hiei from Darker Than Black, you know? That contractor, how he has to eat a lot of food because of his contract. Well, same thing with Icarlet. But we find out Gorge attempts to, walk in the front door at night, and he runs into Mirandel, and that was the best fight scene in the whole episode, so definitely watch that if you haven't seen it. I loved it. I think I watched it twice. I might watch it again today if I have time. But again, he tries to take out Icarlet after he runs into Mirandel and Sanglion and Pet. Wow, I've never seen Icarlet so demon-like. She had 3 hairs up. She was all over Cone, all over Gorge. Poor Gorge. I mean, this macho assassin appeal, this mercenary assassin appeal, goes through the window because he's just a little crybaby. Now Cone ends up actually running through the window in the bedroom actually. So that was kind of funny. But again, Gorge's assassination attempt does not work. But since no one really knows anything about the Olga Religious Society, I said society, I actually meant sorority. So it's the Olga Religious Sorority. No one really cares. So no one's going to know that they failed, so it doesn't really matter. Now we are taken to an interesting scene at the end of the episode. We see Gorge. It looks like a time skip because he's like an old man on a bridge, and he's trying to scare these kids that are crossing to teach them a lesson. And then he brings up the story about the demon with 3 hairs, Icarlet. I thought it was funny. But again, that was last episode, and this is a new episode, so let's dive right in. And again, I will keep my final thoughts and my rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right in. Now, we do open up the scene at the hot springs, at the Tamatsukur hot springs. I hope I pronounced that right. Now again, we have Icarlet, Sanglion, Cone, and Mirandel, as well as Pet. And again, they're at the hot springs. And again, Sanglion, he loves to point out certain things within this episode. One of them being that this is a famous Elma hot spring. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And also, there's I hope I pronounced this right. It's called a plethora of services, which is like a variety of different services that the hot spring actually offers. So I was kind of confused, but that is what he actually meant. Now we also find out a little more about what Sanglion knows. Now apparently he knows about the Playground of Gentlemen, which is like an adult theme park, kind of like Amsterdam with brothels everywhere. And it must just be me, but if you literally check the scenery, you see a lot of buildings, a lot of figures in the shape of a penis. I just thought it was hilarious. I'd bring it up. And again, you see pictures of women everywhere, so you definitely know they are brothels everywhere. So I guess we know where Sanglion's going to be at. Now moving on, we're actually taken to the inn, which Icarlet and everyone is going to actually be staying at. It's the Hot Spring Jewel Inn. Now apparently Sanglion's going to be paying for everything because they mentioned his name. His name's going to be on the bill or something because they definitely know him from somewhere. Just thought I'd point that out. Now again, Icarlet and Mirandel, they get their own room with hot tubs so they can have their own privacy, their own spa. And that makes sense, but Mirandel is a guy, not a woman, so I have no idea how this is going to work out. Now, Cone and Sanglion get shafted majorly. They get a bachelor pad that's small, really small. Now, again, we see Sanglion at one point, he's in his, his outfit, ready to kick butt, and the next, you blink for like a second, and he's ready to jump in the hot springs. It like changes automatically. Now we are taken to a different scene. We see Sanglion with Cone in the hot springs, and they're relaxing. At least Sanglion's trying to relax. Now Cone, he's screwing around and eventually pisses off Sanglion, and they're both buck naked, so they're standing up. Sanglion grabs Cone upside down and literally tosses him, says knock it off. It was a hilarious scene in my opinion. Now we are taken to kind of a different scene. We see Cone next to Sanglion, and out of nowhere he gets an erection. I thought, what? I don't want to see this. I don't want to hear this. And he calls his erection Clara. Now I don't know if that's a subtitle misprint, but he actually, within the subtitle, it does say he calls it Clara, C-L-A-R-A. I thought that was even more hilarious. And again, he tries to find a reason to leave. Now what's interesting is he's wondering, why isn't Sanglion getting one, and why is this happening when he's looking at Sanglion? He's like, is he gay? What the heck's happening? Why is he getting so excited? And again, he finds a random excuse to leave, and he leaves, holding his genitals. God, that was just so perfect. I thought it was funny. But moving on, we see him actually trying to go back to his actual room, but sadly he's locked out. Sanglion never gave him his keys, so that's a downside. So he's walking around and he runs into Dukakis, or at least he sees Dukakis and he hides. So Dukakis is back. He's in the hotel at the hot springs. Now what we do find out is Cone, he doesn't want to fight Dukakis a third time. He thinks he's going to lose, so he figures if I find Sanglion, I'll probably be safe. Now before he actually sees Sanglion, he tries to actually find Carlet and Miranda, get into their room. They're at the spa, in their own room, I would assume, in the hot tubs or in the hot springs, so they can't hear anything. Doors are locked, so he's kind of screwed. Dukakis yet again passes him by and he hides. So he's had enough of this, so he goes back to the hot springs where Sanglion was at, and we find out Sanglion, he ain't there. He is not there at all. So what does Cone actually assume? He went to the playground of gentlemen. Yeah, those brothels and whatnot. He assumes automatically Sanglion's going to be there. All that luxury crap that's not for knights, yeah, that's BS. We definitely know where Sanglion's going to be at. Now, just when he's about to leave, Dukakis appears. Strips down, jumps in the hot spring, and, Cone, he hides. Now, I thought this was most definitely a funny moment. Funny moment. We see Dukakis praying to the Oma god to help his soldier. Oh my god. Which his soldiers are referred to as his balls, and I thought, wow. Guy is so desperate he's gonna pray. They're not gonna come back anytime soon, man. Now we are taken to a different scene, obviously. We see Cone, he's at the front office of the inn, and he's actually leaves a message for both rooms that Sanglion and Carlet are at. And he doesn't really say that Dukakis is there, just to stay in your rooms no matter what. So he gives him a heads up, but without really describing much. And again, we see Dukakis coming out of the hot springs, and Cone has to run, so he's leaves a message and dashes. So he's going straight to that's right, the playground of gentlemen. God, that's just so hilarious. Now what's very interesting is he's heading to that location, and he's holding his genitals the whole time because he still has an erection. You heard me, he still has one. He still has a Clara. But anyway, sorry, I digress. Now, believe it or not, he's trying to find Sanglion by trying to remember all of Sanglion's fetishes and whatnot. And I'm just laughing hysterically because the first place he stops at, he's assuming something with cats, something with animals. I'm assuming, oh, okay, a furry, or a yiffy, someone that's, a woman in animal clothing or something. No. They have a new bar that has cats inside, real little cats. It's like, bingo. We see Sanglion, he's inside, playing with a cat on the floor, and Cone just explodes. It's like, perfect timing, man. And come on, the luck for him, the first place he checks, how lucky can you get? I mean, I thought that might have been spread out more throughout, the episode, but it wasn't. And again, we see Sanglion in a different scene with Cone, and Cone's kind of catching up Sanglion that Dukakis is here, this is why I found you. And you see Sanglion praising Cone to a point. I thought that was kind of interesting. Now we do see Dukakis passing them, and you see Sanglion and Cone both freak out and go to the first hot spring they see. And, they just put their feet in the hot spring, and Cone, he loses his Carla. That's right, he loses his Carla, and he turns a gold, he starts glowing. And now it's really attracting attention, so he's like, so they're trying to go back to the hot spring in general. Now there is a DBZ reference that was made. Apparently Cone feels like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, and he's wondering, so this is what it feels like to be like a Super Saiyan, be all shiny and whatnot. So no wonder why you never see Goku like that 24/7, because it's just get too much attention. Now again, Cone, they do head to the inn, but he is now comparing himself to a Hyperion because he's all glowy. And again, there's so much attention at them right now that even if they wanted to hide, Cone is just too bright. So again, they're now back at the hot spring, and Cone's trying to, I guess, sleep it off, but it's not working. And he's all bright, and not even Sanglion can sleep because he's so damn bright. So instead, Cone ends up going to where does he go? The hot springs. He has a theory: if he goes back, he'll probably lose it, and he does. He's no longer shiny, and he loses, it's gone. But he gains back his erection out of nowhere. And what makes it interesting, Dukakis appears. Yeah, perfect timing. Perfect. No, not really. That's my sarcastic side. But sorry, I digress. Now, obviously Dukakis wants to fight Cone automatically, and Cone obviously says, I surrender. No, let's not do it here. Then he pulls the biggest BS out of his pocket, or wherever he puts his BS in, pulls it out. He's like, wait, if we start fighting here, one of us is gonna die, and we'll be naked, and there'll be a big stir up within this little community, and people will lose money. This place will get shut down, and that kind of strikes a chord with Dukakis, and I can't believe he fell for it. So he says, let's get dressed, and then we can fight outside. So they do, and just when they're getting dressed, Cone turns around, pulls the broomstick out, beats the crap out of him. Problem solved. Now what's funny is while they're in the hot spring, you see Dukakis staring at Cone's erection, his Carla that he has back. You see his head turning down every few seconds, like, God, this guy's hilarious. But again, that's where the episode actually ends. We do see Cone defeating Dukakis. Now, after it's morning, well, it's not even morning, that's just it. Cone is able to get Sanglion and everyone else out of the inn, and they leave in the middle of the night, and it's like, it's a good thing he's still glowing, because he acts like the night light, or should I say like a walking light in general, so they don't even need to pull out their lanterns or anything. So I thought that was funny. So again, the ending of the episode, we see again Cone and everyone else leaving the inn in secrecy, just to avoid Dukakis, and apparently they're using Cone as like a night light or something, to show the way. At least he's good for something. But again, that's the end of that episode. Final thoughts? Wow, Dukakis, when are you gonna learn? Stop taking Cone seriously and just kick his butt. Plain and simple, man. You're just too gullible. Now, as for Elma Flora, we didn't see her in this episode, so that is a first. So, still, I want to know more about her background. Now, as for Sanglion and his cat fetishes, God, that guy's starting to freak me out here. I'm wondering if he's really as manly as everyone thinks he is. He definitely has a weak point for animals. It's not a bad thing. No, it's not. I'm just saying that's a first I've seen someone that looks like a character from Berserk. He does look like Guts just a little bit, so I would have expected more from him. Now, I think I'll throw in one more final thought. We do see, trying to remember his name, Verasian. He actually is the soldier that was responsible for dropping off Dukakis at the actual inn, so I'm wondering if we're going to see him in the next episode or not. We don't know, but he did mention he was going to another hot spring, I guess down the road, so I guess we'll find out in the next episode. But again, that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, I feel comfortable giving this a 4 out of 5. I should give this a 3.5 out of 5. There wasn't a lot of battles. In fact, there were no fights, no battles, nothing, unless you count Dukakis getting his butt handed to him by Cone. But this episode was all about comedy, plain and simple. Not a lot of new information, so I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5, only because I got enough laughs out of it. But again, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of Ixion Saga Dimension Transfer Episode 7. But definitely comment down below, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe above, check me out on Twitter, and follow me if you like. But definitely comment on this episode, and let me know what you think is going to happen in the next episode coming up. But again, that ends it for today, and I am done with my walkthroughs and reviews. So until Thursday, stay tuned, everybody. But before I go, I gotta say it. Can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.